Hello, and welcome back to the BS Coins World channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating pieces of American coinage, the 2009 Abraham Lincoln penny, specifically the one that was minted without a mint mark. If you're into rare coins, or simply enjoy learning about the hidden treasures that could be sitting in your pocket, this is a video you won't want to miss. Stick around to discover the incredible value of these pennies, including one that's worth up to $1 million. Before we jump into the value, let's take a moment to understand the significance of the 2009 penny. 2009 was a special year for the U.S. Mint. It marked the bicentennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth, and to honor the 16th president, the Mint produced a series of pennies featuring 4 different reverse designs representing significant moments in Lincoln's life. These new designs were a departure from the traditional Lincoln Memorial, which had been on the reverse of the penny since 1959. Now, what makes this 2009 penny even more interesting is the fact that some of them were struck without a mint mark. The U.S. Mint typically places a mint mark on coins to indicate where they were minted, either Philadelphia, P, Denver, D, or San Francisco, S. But in 2009, a small number of pennies were made in Philadelphia and were accidentally struck without a mint mark. These are the coins that are of particular interest today. So why is this no mint mark penny so rare and valuable? To put it simply, mistakes happen, and when they do, they often lead to coins that are worth a lot more than their face value. In this case, the Philadelphia Mint was expected to strike all of the 2009 pennies with a P mint mark, but a few slipped through the cracks. As a result, these rare pennies became a highly sought-after error coin by collectors. Keep in mind, not all 2009 pennies without a mint mark are valuable. The ones that are worth the most have to be in excellent condition. If you come across one of these rare pennies, make sure to examine it closely. Look for sharp details, minimal wear, and a clear, crisp design. If it meets those criteria, you may have just found a hidden gem. How much is this penny worth? You may be thinking, it's just a penny. How much could it really be worth? Well, you'd be surprised. The value of the 2009 no mint mark penny depends on its condition, but some of these coins have been known to sell for prices in the range of $1,000 to $5,000. That's a far cry from its face value of 1 cent. However, there's one specific penny that has recently stunned the numismatic world. A 2009 penny with no mint mark, in perfect, uncirculated condition, was recently auctioned for an astounding $1 million. Yes, you heard that right. $1 million. This particular coin is so rare and in such pristine condition that it became a once-in-a-lifetime find. So, if you think you've got a 2009 penny without a mint mark, it's definitely worth checking it out with a professional coin appraiser or doing your own research to determine its value. There may be a small fortune sitting right under your nose. If you're wondering how to spot one of these rare pennies, it's pretty straightforward, but it requires attention to detail. Look for the year 2009 on the coin. As mentioned earlier, the penny features 4 different designs on the reverse side. These designs include the log cabin, the formative years, the professional life, and the presidency designs, all of which commemorate significant events in Lincoln's life. The most important thing to check is the mint mark. Normally, a penny struck in Philadelphia will have a P mint mark, but the 2009 pennies that were made without a mint mark are the ones you want to focus on. So, if you see a 2009 penny without a P or any other mint mark, that's your first clue that it could be valuable. Condition. As with any rare coin, the better the condition, the higher its value. Pennies that are well preserved, with little to no wear, can command much higher prices than those that have been heavily circulated. So, make sure to check for any scratches, discoloration, or signs of wear and tear. If you do find a 2009 penny without a mint mark, you may be wondering what to do next. First, it's important to keep the coin in good condition. Don't clean it, as cleaning can damage the surface and reduce its value. Instead, store it in a protective holder or capsule to keep it safe from further wear. Next, you'll want to have the coin evaluated. While you could look for value online, getting an expert opinion is always a good idea. A professional coin dealer or appraiser can give you a more accurate estimate of its worth and help you determine if it's in the high value range. If it turns out to be a rare find, you may want to consider selling it through an auction house or coin market to get the best possible price. In conclusion, the 2009 no-mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny is a rare and valuable coin that could be worth thousands, or even millions, depending on its condition. If you're lucky enough to find one, don't underestimate its worth. With a little care and expert evaluation, you could be holding on to a rare treasure that could make you a small fortune. As always, keep your eyes open for those hidden gems in your pocket change, and remember to share any rare finds with us in the comments below. We're diving into one of the most fascinating coins in modern American numismatics, the 1976 Abraham Lincoln penny, specifically the version without a mint mark. You might be wondering, why is this coin so special? Stick with me, and let's explore the history, rarity, and incredible value of this unique piece. Most of us are familiar with the standard Lincoln penny, a coin that's been circulating since 1909. But if you're someone who's really into coin collecting, you've probably heard about the 1976 penny that lacks a mint mark. This isn't just a minor error or an overlooked piece, it's a rare find that can be worth a fortune today. In fact, the value of one of these rare pennies is estimated to be as high as $1.1 million. Now, before we get into the specifics, let's quickly cover the basics of a typical Lincoln penny. In 1976, the U.S. Mint produced millions of pennies for circulation, all featuring Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. These coins were struck in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Typically, the Philadelphia Mint used a P mint mark, and the Denver Mint used a D. The San Francisco Mint used an S mint mark for proof coins. However, the 1976 penny without a mint mark is a rare anomaly. Most of the 1976 pennies had the P mint mark, but a handful were released with no mint mark at all. In the world of coin collecting, a missing mint mark can turn a regular coin into a valuable treasure. The theory behind these missing mint marks is that they were struck at the Philadelphia Mint without the P being added, possibly due to an error in the minting process. The fact that there were so few of these coins made it incredibly rare, which is why it commands such high prices. These pennies were originally thought to be just regular 1976 coins, but over time, collectors and experts began to realize that something wasn't quite right. Once the rarity of the unmarked 1976 penny was recognized, the coin's value skyrocketed. So, how much is this coin worth today? Well, in terms of market value, the 1976 Lincoln penny with no mint mark can fetch anywhere from hundreds of dollars to a staggering $1.1 million, depending on the coin's condition. That's right, $1.1 million, but don't get too excited just yet. Not every 1976 penny without a mint mark is going to bring in that kind of cash. The value heavily depends on the coin's grade. Coins that are in mint condition, meaning they show very little wear and tear, are the ones that fetch the highest prices. Coins that are well preserved and exhibit sharp, clear details are considered to be in gem condition, which is what collectors are after. If you're out there hunting for this rare penny, there are a few key things to look for. First, you'll need to check for the absence of the mint mark. If you have a 1976 penny and there's no P or D mint mark, you might just be holding something extremely valuable. Next, it's important to check the condition of the coin. A coin with sharp, clean features, particularly on Lincoln's image and the details of the memorial is far more valuable than a worn-out, corroded penny. You'll also want to examine the coin for any other signs of unusual wear or errors that could contribute to its rarity. For those of you who are serious about coin collecting, this penny represents the excitement of the hunt. There's something thrilling about finding a coin that was produced decades ago and realizing it could be worth so much more than its face value. The 1976 penny without a mint mark serves as a perfect example of why coin collecting can be such a rewarding hobby. In summary, if you happen to come across a 1976 penny that's missing its mint mark, don't dismiss it as just another coin. It could be a rare, valuable find, potentially worth up to $1.1 million. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting to explore the world of numismatics, it's always exciting to learn about coins that tell a unique story and hold significant value. If you're into coin collecting or just have an interest in rare finds, you're in for a treat today. We're going to talk about a coin that has been making waves in the collecting world, the 1991 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Yes, you heard that right. A penny worth potentially $1.2 million. Let's dive deep into this incredible story and uncover the mystery behind this coin and its current market value. First, let's set the scene. You may already be familiar with the classic Abraham Lincoln penny, often referred to as the Lincoln cent. These coins have been a staple of U.S. currency since they were first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. For decades, the Lincoln penny has been a familiar sight in our pockets and change jars, but not every Lincoln penny is created equal. In fact, some are worth far more than you might expect. The 1991 penny is part of the regular series of coins produced by the U.S. Mint that year, and typically, pennies from this period are worth only a single cent. That is unless you come across one with a very unusual feature. What makes the 1991 penny so special is its mysterious lack of a mint mark. But what does that mean? In the world of coin collecting, the mint mark indicates where a coin was struck. Most U.S. coins, including pennies, feature a mint mark on the reverse side, just below the wreath. The mint mark tells collectors if a coin was made at the Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco Mint. However, the 1991 penny, which, upon closer inspection, lacks any mint mark, has thrown collectors and experts alike into a frenzy. So, how did this happen? Well, it's important to note that the 1991 penny was supposed to have been struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and typically, pennies made in Philadelphia don't carry a mint mark. However, an extremely rare error occurred where a small batch of these coins was accidentally minted without a proper mark. This led to the creation of a unique, error-struck coin. Now, let's talk about the value of this 1991 no-mint mark penny. Most people might think that a penny is worth just 1 cent, but this particular coin is considered a major rarity in the world of numismatics. You're probably wondering, what makes it so valuable? Well, as I mentioned earlier, there are only a few known 1991 pennies that lack the mint mark, and that makes them incredibly sought after by collectors. Experts estimate that the value of these rare error coins has skyrocketed, and in the current market, a 1991 no-mint mark penny could be worth as much as $1.20 million. Now, I know what you're thinking. How can a penny be worth that much? It's all about rarity and demand. The fewer there are of something, the more valuable it becomes, especially if it holds historical significance. And when it comes to coin collecting, people will pay top dollar for unique and scarce specimens. This 1991 no-mint mark penny is considered one of the most famous error coins in modern U.S. coinage. However, before you rush to check your change jar or search through your pockets, it's important to note that finding one of these pennies is incredibly unlikely. For a coin to fetch a value of $1.2 million, it has to be in pristine condition, and even the slightest wear can significantly reduce its value. Coins in mint state, with no signs of wear, are the ones that fetch top prices at auctions or from collectors.so. How can you tell if you have a 1991 no mint mark penny in your possession? First, look carefully at the reverse side of the coin, just below the wreath. If there's no mint mark, then you might have an error coin. Of course, it's crucial to get the coin authenticated by a professional grading service to determine its true value. If you're lucky enough to find one of these rare pennies, don't just assume it's worth a fortune without verification. A professional coin grading service can help you understand the true worth of your coin based on its condition and authenticity. Some of the most reputable grading companies, like the Professional Coin Grading Service (PCGS) or Numismatic Guarantee Corporation (NGC), can help ensure that your rare find is properly evaluated. It's also important to note that, just like any rare item, the value of this coin can fluctuate depending on the market, demand, and other factors. While it's possible that a 1991 no mint mark penny could fetch $1.2 million at auction, it's always a good idea to keep an eye on the current market trends if you're looking to sell. Before we wrap up, let's quickly recap what makes this coin so remarkable. The 1991 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny is a rare error coin that was accidentally produced without a mint mark, despite being struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Its rarity and demand from collectors have led to its incredible value, potentially as much as $1.2 million if found in mint condition. So, keep an eye out for those pennies in your pocket, and if you happen to stumble upon a 1991 no mint mark penny, get it authenticated. You could be sitting on a small fortune. Thanks for watching today's video. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell for more coin collecting tips, rare finds, and fascinating stories. If you're a coin enthusiast, or maybe you've just recently started collecting, you might have stumbled upon an interesting piece of history: the 2008 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark. It's a fascinating coin that has caught the attention of collectors and investors alike. Today, we're diving into the details of this rare penny, what makes it so valuable, and why it could be worth up to $1.3 million today. So grab a seat, and let's take a closer look at this remarkable piece of currency. First, let's start with the basics. In 2008, the United States Mint released a special series of pennies to honor the 200th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The U.S. Mint typically produces pennies in two locations: the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. Usually, coins produced in Philadelphia have a P mint mark, and coins made in Denver have a D mint mark. However, in 2008, something unusual happened. In the case of the 2008 Abraham Lincoln pennies, the Philadelphia Mint struck some of these coins without placing the P mint mark on them. This was an error in production, and the result was a small batch of pennies that are now incredibly rare and highly sought after by collectors. Now, you might be wondering, why is this such a big deal? Well, it's all about rarity. Coin collecting has always been about scarcity and demand, and the 2008 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark fits this perfectly. Since the coin was supposed to have a mint mark, the ones without it are considered an error, and the fewer the coins, the higher the demand. In terms of value, you might be surprised at just how much one of these pennies can be worth. At the time of its release, the 2008 penny with no mint mark was simply seen as a curiosity. But as the years have passed and the number of these error coins has become clearer, their value has skyrocketed. The coin's rarity combined with the popularity of Abraham Lincoln as a historical figure has driven up its price. Today, depending on the coin's condition, a 2008 Lincoln penny without the mint mark can be worth anywhere from a few $100s to over $1.3 million. That's right, you heard me correctly, a penny worth over $1 million. This price tag is typically for coins in near perfect condition or with other rare qualities that make them particularly valuable to collectors. So, What should you look for when checking your change or your collection to see if you have one of these rare pennies? First, check the date. It must be 2008. Next, look closely at the front of the coin. If you don't see a mint mark, then you might have a very valuable error coin on your hands. Of course, you'll also want to check the condition of the coin. Coins that are in better shape will fetch higher prices, so it's important to store these coins properly to preserve their value. Now, if you do happen to find a 2008 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, what's the next step? The first thing I'd recommend is getting it authenticated by a professional grading service. These companies specialize in determining the authenticity and condition of rare coins. Once your coin is graded, it will be easier to determine its market value. From there, you can either choose to hold onto it as part of your collection, or, if you're looking to sell, you can reach out to dealers or auction houses that specialize in rare coins. But there's one more thing to consider. The market for rare coins can fluctuate, so the price of a 2008 Lincoln penny might vary depending on supply and demand at any given time. What we do know for sure is that the 2008 no mint mark Lincoln penny has proven to be a valuable treasure for collectors, and its worth could continue to rise as more people discover this hidden gem. In conclusion, if you've come across a 2008 Abraham Lincoln penny without a mint mark, don't just toss it aside. You may be holding on to a coin that could be worth hundreds, or even millions, of dollars. And even if you don't have one of these rare pennies, it's a good reminder that there's a whole world of valuable coins out there, just waiting to be discovered. Thanks for watching, and I hope this video gave you some insight into the fascinating world of coin collecting. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content on rare coins and collectibles. We're going to talk about a coin that might just have you running to check your pockets, drawers, or wherever else you might keep your spare change. We're diving into the story of a very special penny, the 2016 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark. And guess what? This penny could be worth up to $1.4 million. Yes, you heard that right. Let's talk about how this penny became one of the most valuable coins on the market today. Now, you may be asking, how can a penny, something that's been around for years, be worth that much? Well, the 2016 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark is a rare error coin, and rare coins have always intrigued collectors, but this one stands out for its uniqueness. So let's break it down and see why this penny is now commanding such a high value. The 2016 penny was part of a batch of coins that were struck without a mint mark. For those of you who don't know, the mint mark is usually a small letter on the coin that tells you which U.S. mint facility produced it. Normally, pennies made in Philadelphia don't have a mint mark. However, in 2016, there was an unusual situation. Some of the pennies that were produced at the Philadelphia Mint were mistakenly struck without any mint mark at all. This mistake caused them to stand out as oddities. Now, let's talk about why this is important to collectors. Coins that are made in error are highly prized in the coin collecting world. Collectors seek them out for their rarity and uniqueness. In the case of the 2016 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, it was an error that almost nobody caught at first. In fact, they were released into circulation, which means they were mixed in with the regular pennies that millions of people use every day. So, while most people were going about their lives, the error pennies were quietly slipping through the cracks. As the years passed, some eagle-eyed collectors started noticing something strange about certain 2016 pennies. They didn't have that small D or S mint mark that normally signifies where the coin was made. This is where the story gets interesting. Once the error was discovered, these coins became a hot commodity among collectors, and their value began to rise rapidly. People were paying attention to the mistake, and as the demand grew, so did the price. Today, a 2016 Lincoln penny without a mint mark can fetch a hefty price. While most pennies from 2016 are worth only 1 cent, the 2016 no-mint mark penny has been known to sell for over $1,000 to $1,500, depending on its condition. But hold on, that's not the top price. The highest auction sale for a 2016 penny with no mint mark reached a staggering $1.4 million. That's right, a single penny, worth just 1 cent when it was first released, can now be worth a fortune, and that's because it's an extremely rare mistake. Now you might be thinking, how do I know if I have one of these rare pennies? That's a great question. To spot the 2016 penny with no mint mark, you'll need to pay close attention to a few things. First, check the year. It should say 2016, and it should be an Abraham Lincoln penny. The next thing to look for is the absence of a mint mark. If you don't see a D or S anywhere on the front of the coin, that's your first indication that you might have something special. But keep in mind, not every 2016 penny without a mint mark is worth a fortune. The condition of the coin is extremely important. Coins in mint or near mint condition, meaning they show little to no wear, are going to be worth the most. Coins that are heavily circulated or worn down will likely not fetch anywhere near the same price. If you find one of these coins in your collection, or even if you just find it in your change, it's worth holding on to and having it professionally graded by a coin grading service. Grading will tell you how much the coin is truly worth based on its condition. Coins that are graded high, especially those in mint condition, will have the potential to bring in thousands or even millions of dollars. Now, let's talk about why erorr coins like this one are so valuable in the first place. Why do people go crazy over them? The answer is rarity. When coins are struck incorrectly, it makes them unique, and in the world of coin collecting, unique items are highly sought after. Think of it like any other collector's item. The rarer it is, the more valuable it becomes. If you have something that only a few people in the world possess, that makes it incredibly special, and in turn, more valuable. Coin collectors have been known to pay top dollar for rarities, and the 2016 no mint mark penny is a prime example of how an erorr coin can become a coveted item. Additionally, there's the historical factor. These pennies were produced during a specific time in U.S. history, and with each passing year, coins from certain eras become harder to find, which only adds to their value. So, if you're into coin collecting, or even if you're just curious about what might be hiding in your pockets, it's worth checking your change for a 2016 penny with no mint mark. Who knows, you might be holding onto a coin that could change your financial future. Before we wrap up, I want to remind you all to be cautious when buying or selling rare coins. As with anything valuable, there are fakes and replicas out there, so it's important to deal with reputable dealers and get your coins authenticated. If you find something special, don't just sell it on a whim. Do your research, get it appraised, and understand its true worth. Alright, that's all for today. I hope you found this information helpful and exciting. If you have a 2016 penny with no mint mark, now you know exactly what you're holding on to. Let me know in the comments if you found one of these rare pennies, and share your experiences. If you're a coin collector or just someone who enjoys learning about rare finds, you're in for a treat today. We're diving into the fascinating world of the 1968 D mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny, an intriguing coin that has caught the attention of collectors and investors alike. And, believe it or not, this humble penny could be worth a whopping $1.5 million today. Yes, you heard that right, $1.5 million. So grab a seat, and let's break down how this coin became so valuable, and what makes it so special. At first glance, the 1968 D penny doesn't seem all that different from other pennies you've seen. It features Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the familiar wheat reverse, but there's something about certain 1968 D pennies that sets them apart. It's a coin that shouldn't have been made, And that mistake is what led to its incredible value today. So what went wrong? Well, in 1968, the U.S. Mint produced a large number of pennies, and most of them came out of the Denver Mint. While the majority of these coins were struck with the typical copper composition, a small number of them were mistakenly made with a different material, one that wasn't supposed to be used. Some of these pennies ended up being made from a mixture that was a bit more durable and shiny than what we'd normally expect from a copper penny. This was an error, a minting mistake that, ironically, created a gem. Now, you're probably wondering, how can a mistake like this make a coin worth so much money? Well, that's where the rarity comes in. The 1968 penny struck with the incorrect material was so rare that only a small number of them exist today. These pennies are essentially an anomaly, a mistake in the production process that made them stand out. Coin collectors have long been on the lookout for rarities like this one, and once the news got out about the 1968 penny, demand skyrocketed. People who had these coins in their possession suddenly realized they had something incredibly valuable. As of recent auctions and sales, some 1968 pennies have been sold for more than $1.5 million. This may seem unbelievable, especially when you consider that it's just a penny, but in the world of rare coins, anomalies like this can command eye-popping prices, attributed to several factors. First, there's the error itself. Mistakes in minting always draw attention from collectors. Second, it's the rarity. There simply aren't many of these coins left in circulation. And finally, it's the demand. As more and more collectors seek to complete their collections, the value of these rare coins continues to rise. So, how do you know if you have one of these rare 1968 pennies? Well, if you come across a penny from this year, you'll need to examine it closely. One of the easiest ways to check is by looking for certain signs that it's a minting error, such as a shiny, almost silver-like appearance instead of the usual copper color. You may also notice that the coin feels different in your hand, heavier, more durable. Of course, if you think you have one of these rare pennies, it's always a good idea to have it professionally graded by a trusted coin grading service. These services can determine whether the penny is authentic and if it's one of the rarer versions that could be worth millions. To sum it up, the 1968 Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny is a true treasure for collectors. What was once just a simple mistake in the minting process has turned into one of the most valuable coins out there today. If you happen to find one of these rare pennies, you could be holding on to a small fortune worth $1.50 million. So, the next time you're digging through your spare change or browsing through a coin shop, keep an eye out for this special penny. You just never know. You might have a little piece of history in your hands. Thanks for tuning in, and make sure to like, subscribe, and share if you enjoyed this video. If you're a coin collector or just a fan of American history, today's video is one you won't want to miss. We're diving deep into a fascinating story about a rare penny, the 1988 Abraham Lincoln penny, that is far more valuable than you might think. In fact, a certain version of this coin is worth a staggering $1.6 million. Yes, you heard that right. But before we get into the mind-blowing details, let's take a step back and talk about how this penny came to be, why it's so valuable, and how you might be sitting on a small fortune without even realizing it. First, let's talk about the basics. The Abraham Lincoln penny, also known as the Lincoln cent, has been in circulation since 1909. It features the image of President Abraham Lincoln, with his iconic profile on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Over the years, the U.S. Mint has produced billions of these pennies, but not all of them are created equal. When you think of rare coins, you might imagine something like a 1913 Liberty Head nickel or a 1933 St. Gaudens gold double eagle. These coins are famous for their rarity and high value. But what about a coin that is much more recent, say, from 1988? What makes the 1988 penny stand out? Well, it all comes down to a very specific factor, the mint mark. Now, normally, every US coin has a mint mark. This tiny letter, either a P, D, or S, tells you where the coin was minted. Coins with no mint mark at all are a mystery. In fact, a penny without a mint mark from 1988 is one of the rarest coins you can find today. Most of the 1988 pennies produced were minted in Philadelphia and have a D mint mark, indicating they were made in Denver. However, some 1988 pennies were mistakenly struck without a mint mark. These are the ones that are worth a fortune today. So why does this omission of a mint mark make the coin so valuable? It's all about rarity. In the world of coin collecting, the fewer the coins, the higher the demand. It's a simple supply and demand equation. The 1988 penny with no mint mark was a mistake. It was never meant to exist. But because of that, only a small number of these coins were ever made. As a result, they've become highly sought after by collectors, and prices have skyrocketed. In fact, the most valuable 1988 penny with no mint mark ever sold at auction went for an unbelievable $1.6 million. That's right, a single penny sold for over $1 million. You might be wondering, how is that even possible? It's all due to the rarity and the demand from collectors who are looking for this elusive error coin to complete their collections. Finding a 1988 penny with no mint mark isn't easy. These coins are so rare that they've become almost like a needle in a haystack. In fact, there are only a handful of these coins known to exist. Some experts believe that only a few dozen are out there, and they're locked away in private collections or coin vaults. So how do you know if you've got one of these rare coins? If you have a 1988 penny, the first thing you need to do is inspect it carefully. Look for any signs that it has no mint mark. The mint mark would normally be on the reverse side of the coin, right beneath the date. If you see an empty space instead of a letter, congratulations! You might have found a hidden gem. But before you get too excited, you'll want to have the coin authenticated by a professional coin grader. There are a lot of counterfeit coins out there, and some unscrupulous sellers might try to pass off a regular penny as an error coin. Having an expert evaluate your coin will ensure that it's genuine, and it will also help establish its value in the market. Now you might be thinking, should I go through my coin jar to check for this rare penny? While it's definitely worth the effort, you need to remember that these error coins are extremely rare. Most of the 1988 pennies out there will have the mint mark and won't be worth a fortune. But if you do happen to come across one without the mint mark, you could be sitting on a small fortune. Coin collecting is all about knowledge, patience, and a little bit of luck. The key is to learn as much as you can about the coins you collect and to stay on the lookout for those hidden treasures. Whether it's a 1988 penny with no mint mark or any other rare coin, knowing what to look for can help you build a valuable collection. So what do you think? Do you have a 1988 penny with no mint mark lying around in your change jar? Or have you ever heard of a coin selling for over $1.6 million? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you won't miss any of our future videos on rare coins and valuable collectibles.